Abelimpo, kwami kofi kinata. Uchamindi, vida utia. Abelimpo, kwami kofi kinata. Uchamindi, vida utia.
Hi, I'm Miss Felicia Bannah, and I'm your tutor for today's lesson. In our previous lesson, we learned something on word classes, and our lesson for today is verbs. Before then, let's try to memorize what we learned in our previous lesson. We said a word class is the grammatical class into which words belongs, which help us to form meaningful sentences. Word classes are classified into two main categories, which are 1. We have major or open or lexical word classes. 2. We have minor or closed or functional word classes. For the first category, a word class is said to be major when it can stand on its own and make meaning. And also, a word class is said to be lexical when it has clearly defined meaning. And again, a word class is said to be open when new members are entertained. The major word classes are verbs, nouns, adjectives, and adverbs. For the second category, a word class is said to be minor when it depends on the major word class to make meaning. It is also said to be closed because no new words or members are entertained. And also, a word class is said to be functional because they are defined by a grammatical rule. The minor word classes are modifiers, qualifiers, intensifiers, pronouns, prepositions, conjunctions, interjections, and determiners. Now, let's do this short exercise. 1. Define what a word class is. 2. Mention 2 examples of major and minor word classes and give examples each. We have 3 minutes to do this work. Now, today's lesson is on verbs. Verbs will be discussed under the following: the definition of verbs, the morphological approach, the types of verbs, the forms of regular verbs, irregular verbs, and then time, tense, and aspects. Our objectives for today's lesson. By the end of our lesson, you should be able to 1. Define a verb. 2. State the morphological approach. 3. State the types of verbs. 4. Differentiate between regular and irregular verbs. Before we start, what are verbs? Well done. Great job. You've really done well. We are proceeding. Okay then. For us continuing, let's see what verbs are. When we say a verb is a word used with a subject to say what someone or something does or what happens to them. That's national. It emphasizes that it is the doing aspect of the word. By then, traditional grammar also looks at a verb as a doing word. It isolates doing as the main central aspect of verbs. Semantics is the study of meaning in language. So then, semantics also defines a verb as a word that expresses an action, process, state, condition, or mode of existence. But it is not only verbs that can express state, process, actions, conditions, or mode of existence. Some nouns also do that. Hope we now know the definitions of verbs. Okay then, since we now know the definition of verbs, let's then move on to the morphological approach. What then is a morphology? A morphology is the study of words, how they are formed, and their relationship to other words in the same language. It analyzes the structure of words and the parts of words such as stems, root words, prefixes, and suffixes. The morphological approach of a verb states that a verb can be recognized by looking at the end of shape, that's the affixes they take in representing reality. A verb may take a, an es, s, or ies to express third person singular. That person is outside the immediate point of discourse. For example, verb plus s. We have goes. The verb go plus es. dances. The verb dance plus s, giving us dances. Walks. The verb walk plus s, giving us walks, and many more. B. Verb plus d. That's the past tense. Example: dance, giving us danced. A verb plus d, danced. We have love, giving us loved. The verb love plus d, making loved. And again, a verb plus ed, which gives us walk, as the verb plus ed, making walked. Laugh, a verb plus ed, making laughed. Also, the internal verb changed, that we can have find, giving us found. Steal, giving us stole. Beat, giving us beat. Come, giving us came. Though they look different in realization, they belong to the same phenomenon. C. We have a verb plus ing, continuous or progressive. An example: we have go, a verb plus ing, which will give us going, the progressive form of go. We have do, a verb plus ing, giving us doing, the progressive form of do. We have put, which will give us putting. Second T shows that U is a vowel. We have sing, giving us singing. When the ing form is used, we are thinking of the aspect form. The action has been completed. D, a verb plus ed or en. That's perfect. In this case, we have walk, giving us walked. That's a verb plus ed, walked. Talk, giving us talked, a verb plus ed. Beat, which will give us beaten, a verb plus en, beaten. Steal, giving us stolen, the verb steal plus en, giving us stolen. We are proceeding to the types of verbs. I believe you now know the morphological approach of a verb. So then, let's move on to types of verbs. For the types of verbs, we have action verbs. The action verbs tells what the subject does. For example, John broke the jar. The verb can be transitive and intransitive. Thus, it can either be transitive or intransitive. A transitive verb takes a direct object, while an intransitive verb does not take a direct object. John broke the jar. The verb is broke. The verb broke is a transitive verb. We have I laughed. The verb is laughed and it is intransitive. Two, that's the second type of a verb. That's the linking verbs. A linking verb join the subject and the predicate. Linking verbs do not show action. Instead, they connect the subject of a sentence with an adjective, noun, or descriptive phrase. That's the complement. It links the subject to a subject complement. Linking verbs do not have an object. The most common linking verb is to be. In all of its forms, example, am, is, are, was, were, will be, was being, and has been. Example: Ama is a nurse. The verb is. There are students, and the verb here is are. In the first example, Ama is a nurse. Is linking the nurse to Ama, which is showing us whom Ama is. The second sentence, there are students. The are is linking the they and the students. There are students. Now, let's move on to the third type of verb. We have the auxiliary verb as the third type of verb. Auxiliary verbs, also known as helping verbs, are used with a main verb to help express the tense, mood, or voice of the main verb. The main helping verbs are a form of be, a form of have, a form of do. They appear in the following forms. We have A, to be. Examples are am, is, are, were, been, and will be. Be, to have. Examples are has, have, had, having, will have. See, we have does, do, did, will do. These forms of be, have, and do can also be used as main verbs of sentences. For example, the student is reading a storybook this month. The verb is an auxiliary verb, also known as the helping verb. We have the student is in Form 3. The verb is the main verb. A lady student has done a school bag. The verb has is an auxiliary verb, also known as helping verb. We have a lady student has a book. The verb has is the main verb in this sentence. Also, she did do the assignment. The verb did is an auxiliary verb for emphasis, also known as the helping verb. And again, she does her assignments. The verb does is the main verb in the sentence. We have the fourth type of verb is modal auxiliary verbs. The helping verbs, which express the mode of main verbs, are called modals. Modal verbs allow us to talk about actions as possible, doubtful, or necessary. The main modals are may, might, can, could, will, shall, would, should, must, need, ought to, and used to. We have features of modals. I. That's the first feature of modals. They do not come alone. They come with a main verb. For example, most men can carry heavy loads. In this case, the modal can has carry as its main verb. They indicate an action like ability, power, request, permission, possibility, and willingness. For example, most women can carry heavy loads. Can shows ability to do something, that's carry heavy loads. The third feature of modals. The number, gender, and persons do not affect them. For example, 2 people will win the race, and she will win the race. The form of the verb phrase will win does not change with number, person, and gender in the sentences above. Also, modals are used with first form of verb, but to infinite is used with the modals like ought and used. For example, we ought to do it well, and the verb is to. Also, we used to learn in a glowing light. The verb also is to. I mean the modal. For the fifth feature of modals, we have they do not have any other forms. Thus, we cannot have neither past tense nor third person present tense form. These below are ungrammatical. Ajua woods and Ajua shells. All these sentences are ungrammatical. The next type of a verb is a verb phrase. We can have one verb in a clause, and this usually a lexical or main verb. This verb has context meaning. This verb has context meaning. For example, John played the ball. And also, she smiles all the time. B. Sometimes, occasionally, the verb phrase may be one word, but it is not a lexical item, but a grammatical item. For example, I am a teacher, and she is a zealous student. She is a zealous student. C. The verb may not take any sentence elements, and yet its meaning will be expressed when the sentence is elliptic. An elliptical sentence means that some elements are intentionally left out, but we still have grammatical sentences. Example: Speaker A, do you like mangoes? Speaker B: Yes, I do. Instead of yes, I do like mangoes. Speaker C: Can you leave tomorrow? Speaker D: Yes, we can. Instead of yes, we can leave tomorrow. D: The verb phrase may also consist of one or more auxiliaries plus a main verb. This is a headed construction. For example, we will run through the town. One auxiliary verb. And then another example. I would have got the message on time. Thus, I would have got the message on time. And then again, she should have been made the manager all these years. She should have been made the manager all these years. 3 auxiliary verbs. I believe you understand everything about verb phrase. And then you can now state the types of verbs, explain them, rate examples. If then, let's then move on to forms of regular verbs. We have the base form, pull, which is the present simple same as base form. The present simple same as the base form. We have the third person singular, pulls, the present simple tense plus s. We have the past simple, pulled, that's the base plus ed, pulled. We then have the present participle, pulling, the base plus ing, pulling. The base form, that's bare infinitive, that is what is listed in the dictionary. Irregular verbs. A, we have group A. Base, the base is put. The present simple of put is puts. The past simple of put is puts. The present participle of put is putting. The past participle of put is put. Group B. The base is buy. The present simple of buy is buys. The past simple of buy is bought. The present participle of buy is buying. And then the past participle of buy is bought. We now have group C. The base is go. The present simple of go is goes. The past participle of the past simple of go is went. The present participle of go is going. And then the past participle of go is gone. Till we meet again, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. Bye bye. Au revoir.